Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So what happened exactly? USDC, once thought was the best stable coin in the industry, now has depegged from its $1 mark and now sitting around 92 cents. And it's not just USDC. Another stable coin, DAI, is also below $1. So what exactly happened? And what should we do about it? It seems like Coinbase and Binance are both worried. So should you be worried? Let's discuss. All right, guys. Welcome. So I'm going to have to try to explain all of it for you guys in this video. It's quite complicated, but what's not complicated is this. You could see USDC right now sitting at 92 cents. That's not where it should be. It should be $1. Stable coins are pegged to the US dollar. Should be a 1-to-1 ratio. It is currently not. And it was even worse. At one point, it got down to 88 cents due to mass panic. But it has recovered a little bit. And another stablecoin, DAI, is also down. Not nearly as down, but 94 cents, 93 cents. Okay? And there's a reason for that. But let's start from the beginning. What caused this? Well, it's due to this bank that I covered for the last 2 days, on Thursday and Friday. Thursday, SVB Bank looked like they were in trouble. And on Friday, FDIC took them over. They ran out of money. They were going to collapse. And SVB Bank got taken over by FDIC, which essentially means that it is done. It's over. Okay, there's nothing. But here's the thing. SVB Bank is an enormous, gigantic bank. This is the second largest bank failure in U.S. history. They are not a small bank by any means. They have hundreds of billions of dollars of assets, okay? Now, there's a lot of fear. Since yesterday to today, all I hear about is what's going to happen come this Monday, right? Because so many companies rely on SVB Bank. They put all their money in there, or a large portion of it. So a lot of small tech companies in particular, they won't be able to make payroll this week or the next week if the government does not come in, step in, and do something about it. Okay? Because think about it, all these tech companies that have all their money in SVB Bank, how are they going to make payroll if it's all locked up? Right? It's all locked up at this point. So there's a lot of theories or speculation that this bank is too big to fail. That means someone is going to come in, like the Fed is probably going to broker some kind of deal and ask Goldman or JP Morgan or someone or Bank of America to come in and buy SVB Bank so that come Monday, everything is smoothed over, okay? It's early. It's only Saturday right now, so we got today and tomorrow. Most likely, I think that's going to happen because if they do not get saved, we will see one of the worst fallouts we have ever seen since possibly going back to 2008 or even earlier than that, 2000, when the dot-com bubble crashed, okay? But 2008, we had banks go left and right? Bank runs left and right, and the Fed had to step in. And I have a feeling they're going to step in this time too because this is an enormous failure. Like I said, there's just a ton of companies. There's thousands of companies that utilize SVB Bank. And it's not just small tech startups. Turns out someone like Roku has close to $500 million. That's 26% of their cash in SVB Bank. And there's many others out there. And here's the thing. You may be thinking, well, because this is a bank, it's FDIC insured, right? What's the worry? The FDIC will cover it. But the thing is, FDIC insurance is only up to $250,000, which is laughable, right? For a person, an individual, okay. But for a company with millions of dollars, well, that doesn't cover anything. 97.3% of the assets, the money in SV Bank is not insured. Close to 98% of the money is not insured. FDIC is only going to cover 2.7%, right? So that's why I think a lot of people, including myself, think that they will get bailed out, because that's hundreds of billions. We're not talking about just a few billion. We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars that will go belly up, and the thousands of companies that rely on that money will all go belly up, and we could see the likes of 2008 or 2000, right? So that's kind of the situation right now. A lot of people are speculating because of this, because of what has happened, and this is not the first bank to go under, right? Silvergate just went under, and then now we have this. Now we have a couple banks going under. So now a lot of people are speculating if Powell now realizes what he has done. You know, all the criteria he was looking at in terms of battling inflation, right? Weakness with the labor force, that has not happened. Also, prices going down, this sort of happened. And housing going down sort of happened, right? But we know because of the outstanding jobs report, you know, a lot of people think that he's going to turn hawkish. But now we're starting to see we have banks going under, okay? And this could lead to another financial disaster that he certainly does not want to deal with. Let's not have another TARP bailout, right? Which will cost more trillions upon the taxpayers. So actually, some are speculating this is good in terms of the next FOMC meeting, because it shows that he has to continue his course being dovish, not hawkish, because we don't want another major bank to go under, right? So that's kind of the gist of it. And from what I understand, why they collapsed in the first place was, of course, due to the rate hikes, because they have a whole bunch of assets, a whole bunch of money. They used to buy bonds with it. But when they bought bonds, those notes didn't give a lot of interest, only like 2 or 3%. Right? So now that they need the money, because not a whole lot of companies are taking out loans these days because interest rates are much higher, right? And plus, they just didn't do well. They didn't manage their money, but mostly because the money just stopped. The loans stopped, right? So now they're trying to convert their bonds, and they can't because no one wants to buy them, because bonds now pay 4 or 5%. So who's going to want to buy a bond at 2% interest rate? No one, right? And that is what got them caught, I guess, so to speak, and brought them down. Now, how this relates to USDC, okay, now that I gave you a backstory, is Circle, who is the company behind USDC, right? They revealed after some time, maybe they didn't know how much exposure they had, but they have $3.3 billion locked in SV Bank, okay? That is why people are afraid. So there's $40 billion of cash total that they should have, but now $3.3 billion of that is locked in SV Bank. You can see why people are fearful, right? That means USDC is no longer backed 1-to-1. So that means if you have a large exchange that is trying to convert their USDC to cash, it's like a 91% ratio or 92% ratio, right? So that is why USDC is around 92% of a dollar, because that's how much cash they have. Now, because of this, a lot of exchanges are worried. Coinbase and Binance. Coinbase should be more worried than Binance, but both of these exchanges, they use a ton of USDC. They have a ton, and they both are afraid that they can't convert. So that's why Binance said we're stopping conversion of USDC to BUSD, okay? And then Coinbase said we're stopping or temporarily pausing USDC to USD conversions. In this case, basically, they're afraid a whole bunch of people are converting USDC to USD, right? And then when Coinbase goes to Circle to collect, they can't. They can't get the money, right? So this weekend, Coinbase is converting USDC conversions to USD. And Binance, pretty much the same thing. Okay, so both exchanges, and I'm sure it's not just them, because if you look at USDC and you look at the markets in terms of all the other exchanges, like Kraken, for example, KuCoin, you could Bitfinex, Bitstamp, they're all under, right? Because basically none of these exchanges really want you to convert to USD at this point, right? So there's mass panic. That's why the USDC coin has depegged, okay? And the reason why this other stablecoin MakerDAO from MakerDAO also depegged is because MakerDAO holds $3.1 billion USDC, okay? MakerDAO has collateral for their DAI token, but a lot of it is in USDC. And the funny thing is, here's the irony of this. MakerDAO wanted to get rid of USDC because USDC and its parent company Circle was starting to blacklist some of the addresses that the U.S. Department of Justice told them to. Told them to blacklist some addresses that, you know, are from unfriendly countries or wherever, right? So essentially it made a USDC not so decentralized. So MakerDAO actually wanted to convert all their USDC into something else, but they didn't know what. They didn't want to go to USDT because there's still controversy around it. They thought about going to ETH, but ETH is too volatile, right? So they actually made a deal with Circle to basically have Circle hold on to the USDC and to collect interest with it, right? But now they're probably thinking, what? That was a giant mistake, right? Because now they have still 3.1 billion USDC exposure, and then people are afraid that, well, if they can't collect that because USDC or Circle can't collect, right, then that means there's going to be a problem with DAI. So that's the reason why DAI is also down and depegged from $1. So that's it's all connected. It's all connected, right? And who knows? We haven't heard about USDT because a lot of people are now flocking to USDT because there's really no alternative. BUSD is still around, but we know that BUSD is starting to be phased out. So if you're scared of USDC, where else could you convert to, right? You have really two options. I tweeted this last night. You could convert to USDT, or you can convert to Bitcoin, which is why I think Bitcoin actually got a boost. That's why Bitcoin is above $20,000, because a lot of people don't know what to do now trying to get out of USDC. But here's the thing. We haven't heard about USDT yet, Tether. There's $73 billion. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that they don't have tens of billions with SVB Bank. They haven't. They've been very tight-lipped about that, right? So Tether is not completely out of the picture in terms of all the contagion that's spreading, right? So we don't know yet. I'm just saying that. I have no clue if they have any exposure, but it does seem like SVB Bank is storing a lot of money for a lot of companies out there, right? So you got to be careful. But you know what? This is the thing. Elon tweeted this out, and I'm going to show this, right? A lot of bankers, a lot of financial people, governments, feds, central banks, right? They want you to think that crypto is a scam, right? Peter Schiff. There's a lot of naysayers that wants you to think crypto is a scam, that banks are safe. Banks are where you're supposed to put your money, right? But now we're learning banks are not safe. Most of you guys watching lived through 2008. You realize that banks are over-leveraged. They have been. They have always been over-leveraged, right? I keep talking about leverage in the crypto space, people getting wrecked. Banks get wrecked. They get wrecked, and when they get wrecked, we're talking about hundreds of billions to trillions that could potentially get wiped out, right? And the reason why the banks still exist today is because they are deemed too large to fail. Otherwise, Bank of America, Citigroup, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, along with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, AIG, Morgan Stanley, every single one I just named would have went under in 2008. They would all be gone. But of course, we can't have that because that would be Armageddon. That means everyone would have lost all of their money, right? But of course, we can't have that. So that's why the Fed stepped in and bailed them out with TARP, right? And forced mergers and stuff like that. But this is the reason why Bitcoin was created. Bitcoin was created for the very same, Bitcoin was created to opt out of this. Bitcoin was created after the last 2008 financial crisis because all the banks were about to go under. And Satoshi's like, what the hell are we doing? We need something better. Why do we depend on these banks, right? So that's the thing. That's why Bitcoin is doing well. And I think a lot of people are converting out of USDC into Bitcoin. But the situation that we're in right now, besides just USDC and Circle's exposure and Ruku's exposure and possibly others, their exposure, right? This is due to a bank that over-leveraged, that overplayed his hand in the last few years, and now have gone under. It's not due to a hack or fraud or anything. Well, I don't know about the fraud part, but this is just due to greed of banks, right? And we're probably going to see more of it as the Fed continues to be more aggressive with their rate hikes. They can't just stop because of this, right? But this is the reason why now it's more apparent than ever that we need to opt out of our current financial system, mostly banks, and get into something better like Bitcoin, right? That's the whole premise of this. People miss out on this fact that Bitcoin was created for the sole purpose of avoiding another financial collapse like what we saw in 2008, right? That's why Bitcoin has come above 20,000. You would figure, right? I bet a lot of you guys are surprised that Bitcoin didn't fall more because of this. You know, stablecoin like USDC depegging from $1, that's serious stuff. That's very serious stuff. But I bet a lot of you guys are quite surprised by the fact that Bitcoin actually didn't go down. Instead, it went back up. Bitcoin actually shot up above 20,000 when just yesterday it was looking weak, like Bitcoin was going to fall to 19s and 18s. But no, it actually regained strength because this convinces people, right, that Bitcoin is the way, not centralized financial systems like banks or central banks, or in this case, even for crypto, even maybe stable coins like USDC, right? So that's why Bitcoin is the way. And as we see more of this, you know, in Switzerland, Credit Suisse may be going under. So I'm sure there's other banks, not just in the US, around the world, that are feeling the heat as well. A lot less loans, a lot less mortgages, right? A lot less everything. And you know what? We could see a lot more bank closures in the near future, right? And I'm sure the central banks around the world will try to step in and stop another financial crisis. But yeah, we're starting to see the repercussions of the fastest rate hike we have ever experienced in the United States. It's starting to add up. Right? Okay, so this goes over what I just said about basically why Bitcoin was created. You know, and Bitcoin, basically, like Stock Money Lizard tweeted, just ignore the noise. Bitcoin is still doing what it has been doing, which is recovering from bottom, right? There's still a lot of similarities between now and previous dips, right? Especially that 200 moving average, right? Utilizing that as a support, touching upon it once again before taking off, which we have seen a couple times in the past. So you can make the argument that Bitcoin is still just doing its thing and has reached an oversold level unseen since the FTX crash. So it's good. But mainly what we're seeing with banks right now, right? That's just due to greed, due to pure greed and leverage. Highly leveraged system. up until recently, before the Fed started upping its rates, I'm not sure a lot of you guys know this, but why the banks are highly leveraged is fractional banking. I'm sure a lot of you guys heard that before, but it gets even worse because beforehand, after 2008, the Fed imposed reserves for most of the banks out there, right? But then because of 2000, they removed that reserve requirement for a lot of banks. So from 2000 to 2022, basically, a lot of banks had no reserve requirements. And it gets even worse because the Fed fund rate was basically near 0%, right? That means the banks could have borrowed from the Fed at nearly 0%. It was a little bit higher, like 25 basis points higher or something like that. So, you know, when you deposit money into a bank, the misconception is the bank takes your money and goes and lends it out. But no, the banks don't do that. That's too little money from them. So what they do is every dollar that you put in, they go to the Fed and borrow 10 times the amount. Think about that. They don't even take your money and lend it out. They go borrow 10x the money based on your deposits. So if you have 10,000 in your bank, that means the bank can borrow $100,000 from the Fed at near 0% interest. And why wouldn't they do that? Of course they would do that, right? That's the leverage I was talking about and the greed that I'm talking about. And now that they can no longer do that because interest rates are high, and they can no longer lend out as much because businesses and individuals don't want to pay high interest, now they're stuck, right? They overhired, they overspent, and they don't know how to crawl back from that. That's ultimately what we're seeing right now, right? So it's a bad situation, but it's good and re-emphasizes the need for something better like Bitcoin. That's it. All right, let's do some Q&A. All right, let me scroll up. Got a lot of people in here today. Unfortunately, not for the right reasons, but hopefully you guys are staying calm, staying cool, but we will see what happens. I have a feeling that SV Bank is going to be deemed too large to fail. We have too many companies that are dependent on SV Bank. And I bet the Fed is brokering some kind of deal right now, trying to get like Goldman or JP Morgan or someone to buy SV Bank and open up operations so that things are normal come Monday. Otherwise, the Fed themselves may just, decide that they have to inject $100 billion or whatever to resolve this. Still, here's the thing. People are saying USDT is still the best. I still can't get behind USDT. I can't get behind them because there's just too much controversy around them. And like I said, they have been tight-lipped about this whole situation. Fingers crossed that they don't even have more money than Circle does with their deposits in SV Bank, because that would not surprise me if it comes out like next week. Oh, Tether has like 10 billion exposure in SV Bank or something like that. I'm not wishing upon it, but it would not surprise me, right? So right now, it's like, what do? You definitely want to get out of USDC, but do you go into USDT? I guess that's really the only option. There are other stable coins out there, but most exchanges don't support them. So the other option is to just put it into the best, which is Bitcoin, right? Shibarium launched 15 minutes ago. Jeremy, at this point, it's about time, but I don't think anyone really cares. Everyone is worried about USDC at this point. Sam, we're still here. That's good. That's good. Ripple's exposure to SV Bank. I don't know. I don't know if Ripple has any exposure. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of crypto companies and a lot of tech companies in general, they all love to do banking with SV Bank. Because SV Bank is not just a bank. They're more like a VC. They give a lot of money and loans to tech startups that don't have a lot of credit, and it seems like they're almost like investing in them, right? So that's why they're so beloved among Silicon Valley and tech companies in general, right? So that's why they have even more exposure. And all those guys, they can't make payroll or do whatever because of this. Low IQ detector. I just said, do I trust Tether? No, I still don't. The chance of USDC going under, I'm still going to say low, right? I'm still going to say low. I mean, it's $3 billion out of $40 billion. It's a lot of money, but they are very heavily backed, and I do think they can make that back. But, we'll see. We'll see. I do think the chance that, I don't know. I don't even know if this is accurate, but I would say at least 80% chance that they would make it, 20% chance they don't, but I think they will make it. They will figure it out. Ethereum is also up, even more so than Bitcoin. So a lot of people are getting out of USDC and just buying crypto with it. So that's the good thing. Do you hold your fiat on exchanges? Yes. Yes, I do. And I think that's also a good alternative. A lot of exchanges don't allow you to hold fiat, but some do, right? Like Coinbase does and Binance.us does, but Coinbase is not allowing you to convert USDC into USD. Binance.us still does. So, yeah, that's another alternative. Is VUSD alternative, George? Yes, but it's not supported on any of the exchanges, so not really. Did I grab the new white cement Jordan 3s today? No, it got claimed immediately, basically. I'm not like on the app only looking to claim them, but a lot of people are. Jonathan, no, don't bring up that. Don't bring up that coin. It's Bitcoin. It's not anything else. USDC will only fail if companies keep allowing people to redeem it for $1, but they currently halted it. I mean, they can only halt it for so long, right? They have to open up redemptions. Here's the thing. USDC will only go under if the company goes under if all 40 billion is claimed, because that means 3 billion they can't pay out, right? But if they can plug that gap somehow, they get a loan from someone or something like that where they can get it back, or SVB Bank themselves are saved, then it's no problem. I honestly think that SVB Bank will get saved. I feel from what I'm hearing, the SVB Bank is just too large to fail at this point. So I think the Fed is brokering some deal to kind of save them this weekend. There's really no other choice. Scrolling. Can whale gains stop the 4-year cycle pump from happening? Unlikely. Unlikely, because they want to see it happen too. Robert, appreciate that. Joel says, I sold some USDC at a 7% loss. I could buy it back cheaper right now. Do you think it will get repegged? I do think so. I'm hopeful, okay? Because I don't want to see USDT become the only stablecoin out there, because I just don't trust them. And USDC, unfortunately, what has happened to them right now is not due to their own greed. It's due to reliance on a bank, unfortunately, okay? What's happening to USDC is due to a bank that people thought would not go under did. And that's what's happening right now, right? So I think there's a really good chance that SVB Bank, like I said, will get saved and bailed out, and then everyone else that has a lot of money locked into SVB Bank will get access to it. I was trying to calm people down. I did put out a video. People are saying Kramer recommended SVB Bank. I made a video last night. I posted it out. I'm surprised a lot of you guys didn't watch it. But I was trying to lighten the mood a little bit last night when things were getting scary, right? So if you guys didn't watch that, you guys should, because I think it's hilarious. Roulette wheel. There was no ratio. I looked into it. Maybe they just released it today because Shibarium supposedly just released 15 minutes ago, but there was no definitive ratio that was stated about how much SHIB was going to be burned based on usage. So I did look at it, but there was nothing defined before. Maryland. Yes, I explained why. I explained why DAI is depegged, because they have exposure to USDC. That's why. Can you see a further dip in crypto because of this? Well, if Circle goes under, then yes. If we see more crypto companies coming out and going under because SVB Bank really does go under, and the 97% that aren't insured loses their money, then yeah, I could see the entire crypto space going lower because of it, being dragged down. Right, so that's certainly a possibility, but I just think SVB Bank is going to get bailed out. They're just too big to fail. Did I miss something? Johnny, I missed your super chat. Always darkest before dawn. I seen a lot of FUD. Keep up the good fight. Appreciate it. You know, Coinbase has a lot of exposure. Coinbase, they make most of their money from USDC loans and transactions. So if this doesn't get resolved, Coinbase will be exposed to it hardcore. Their stock will dump next week, which will be very unfortunate since I still have some options open on Coinbase. But yeah, so Coinbase, USDC is a collaboration between Coinbase and Circle. Mostly Circle, but Coinbase makes a lot of money, most of their money from USDC. So this will affect Coinbase as well, for sure. Should we be worried about KuCoin? I don't know. I've said after being sued by New York Attorney General, most likely they're going to shut down access to U.S. residents. So if you are in the U.S., you probably should get out of KuCoin and into something else. Is crypto dead? No. You have your name as the crypto media, so why would you be asking that question? Are you purposely trolling or acting dumb? The reason why Bitcoin was created was because of distrust in banks. So that's why Bitcoin is actually up. Bitcoin is up. Ethereum is up too. A lot of it is because people are now converting their USDC into something better, right? And no better than Bitcoin. Bitcoin was created for the sole purpose of getting away from the banks. And now we're seeing more and more failures, more and more fear over banks and bank runs. This is good for Bitcoin. What's your thoughts on Gemini denying ended partnership with JP Morgan? I didn't actually see that. I actually didn't see that. So I can't really comment on it. Yeah, we're starting to see it come up a little bit. Last night USDC was down to like 97 cents. Now we're like close to 94 cents. So I guess we'll see. This weekend will be crucial. Basically, if SB Bank gets bailed out, all this goes away, right? But still, there'll be a lot of people really, really, really worried about banks in general and having a lot of money in banks, because if they go under, it all goes under. Here's a story about banks. I told you guys the greed and leverage that banks use. But during the 2008 crisis, I remember going to my local bank. At the time, they were called Charter One. And then inside, because everyone was so fearful of banks, they put up a sign and said, okay, we are owned by the Royal Scottish Bank that has operated for 150 years, right? So rest assured, we're good. We're not going to go under. Guess what? A few weeks later, that Royal Scottish Bank went under. Charter One went under and got bought out by U.S. Bank. But the thing is, you know, when all these banks have so much exposure to each other, and when one falls, it's really a domino effect, and they all start falling. So I have a feeling that SV Bank is really the starting point, and that is why the Fed is going to make sure that they do not fail, that they will get bailed out. Someone will go and buy them. All right, guys, I'll let you go. Overall, it's not a good situation with USDC, with Circle, with SV Bank going under and exposure it causes, right? But what is good is this. Bitcoin is gaining strength. Bitcoin was created because of shenanigans that banks causes and does. right? This is why we have Bitcoin, something that opts out of the current regime and the current system that we have today. So stay strong, my friends, and we'll see what happens later today or tomorrow. I think we're going to get some kind of announcement about SB Bank, and hopefully it's good. Smash up the like, subscribe to the channel. If you didn't watch my Kramer video from last night, go ahead and do so. And then last super chat, Rock Lobster, reminder for the country that elections have consequences. Okay, thanks for that reminder. Oh, and Jimmy Doss said something about the Congress, Fed, and SEC should be paying more attention to failing policy banks rather than staying in our pockets through fear created by politicians. I agree. Have a good one, guys. Take care.